Welcome to the MMA Roadshow. I am Cold Coffee. This is episode 586. John Morgan is not with me. Can you believe that, guys? He is again just shucking all of his responsibilities, trying to do that general manager thing for CFFC. He is over there in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, over there at the 2300 Arena. Actually, it's actually going on right now. The prelims just started. So most of you, everybody else is probably on OnlyFans right now, because if you guys didn't know, a lot of their events, the OnlyFans is where the prelims, and then it's going to shift to UFC Fight Pass eventually. But he's out there in Philly for CFFC 155, Cunningham versus Russell. So we hope he has a good show. But I know I'm going to have a good show because we have the veteran John who's out doing his thing. So I was like, what else can we do? How can I fill this void? I pulled everybody and anybody before to fill the void. I said this week, let's go to the new folks, the new breed, the next generation of this MMA space. And I want to give a big welcome to one. This is making his debut, and you know, people have started to see him around the scene. Jero, and I'm going to say it how Jero told me to pronounce his last name, and he said it's Guerra. It's not actually like that. Jero, it's funny, when I first saw your name, I was like Guerra, but Guerra or whatever. But Jero, how do you say your last name? Tell the folks how they should say your last name.
First off, thank you so much for having me. And to answer that question right off the bat, it's Jero Guerra.
Yeah, see?
Guerra.
Just like I.
It means war, by the way. It means war. So.
And then also,
yep.
How
say that
fitting.
again?
Exactly. That's a lot of people say it. So
It means war.
Does it really?
Yeah, Guerra means war.
Jero.
Oh, well, you're in the
Jero
right
Guerra.
field, my brother.
Jero.
You're in the
Jero
right
Guerra.
field.
I know.
And then
That's
also,
awesome.
the lovely voice that you're also hearing is Destiny. And Destiny, I know I asked you, and I double-checking, it's McCubbin?
McCubbin. Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
because it could looks like you could sell it as McCubbin, but McCubbin.
Yeah.
And I
They
don't want to
always
say it
said
wrong
McCubbin.
because I know you're a
It's cool.
power slap motherfucker over there. I don't want to get slapped for saying your name wrong. But also
I
Destiny
never slap
McCubbin,
you,
who
Kenny.
Destiny, who's coming, and she has her own thing. She's been doing the podcast thing for a while, and then also we see her on site lately doing stuff with Cage Side Press. But what was the name of the
Yes.
podcast again?
The podcast is In the Corner. It was
In the
In the Corner with Destiny McCubbin for a long time, and now we've pivoted because Doug Vasquez and I from Sports Illustrated have started doing that together. So yeah, we're In the Corner.
That's right. And Destiny recently has been showing up on the MMA scene. She was doing the boxing thing for a while. She's been doing the social influencer type thing and doing all that stuff for a while. So it was very, very cool to see you grinding and getting out there and doing the things. And in fact, you know, jumping back to Jero, one of the first things that impressed me about Jero was him and, you know, Wyatt, these UNLV kids showing up at the events, doing their thing, you know, like grinding on the scene. And I remember in this space, you see a lot of people show up and then they want to be there. They just want to sit out there. They want to eat the food. They want to, you know, just do a selfie and say, oh, here I am, you know, look at me on the thing, but not actually partake in anything. They're not asking questions. They're not filming anything. They're not turning anything around. And then when you see the young MMA journalists that are actually doing it and grinding, it warms me up. So it makes this old heart happy because you feel like the space, the future is there. You mean, like, I know I'm going to be like 75 on the front row still doing my thing before I finally have a heart attack. But it's nice to see the young folk out there. And that was one of the first things I saw when I knew that we were looking to hire. I was like, we were trying to think of like who's out there, who's grinding, who's doing stuff. And one of the names that I said, there's this guy Jero, if you guys haven't, whatever. And to your credit, Jero, if you didn't know this or not, or whether we said it, when I started throwing your name around to people that I knew that had applied, everyone on the team was like, oh, yeah, I know that kid. That kid's sharp. That kid's whatever. And I think at that point you had already did stuff with like Danny Segura on Ablamos MMA and some of the other ones. And I know you had did some other little stuff. So it was kind of an easy sell in that point to you know, because I know a lot of people had their people, you know, or they're trying to do it. But, you know, the work that you do out on the scene definitely helped kind of separate yourself, you know. So now that you're in the fold, officially an MMA junkie, you just got done doing the White House event with us. You've been on the ground around with us this week. You were there last week, the week before that, starting to do your thing. Your official start date was what, the 1st, right?
Correct. Yep. June 1st.
Yep. And then, and it's funny because in this space, especially when it's fight week, there's no like, oh, hey, we're going to slowly ramp up. We're going to take some time. Let's get your computer. Let's work this first couple weeks. Let's just make sure you know how to use your shit. We're literally like, oh, hey, okay, it's fight week. I'll see you on media day. And then we'll just take it from there and started doing the social cuts and all the other stuff. But man, that's been it's been really, really cool to see it. But so I wanted to give the Roadshow listeners, diehards, the super junkies that have been around, because if they're listening to our show, they're definitely diehards and they've definitely been around for a while. So I want to give an introduction to you first. So I guess tell me a little bit about yourself. What brought you into the combat sports? Because I know you also love boxing. You do other things, but I mean, I guess tell me a little bit about yourself and what brought you to want to work in the MMA space.
Yeah, no, first off, thank you so much, man. That's a crazy intro, man, from someone like yourself. I know you've been around, man, highly respected here. So I really appreciate that. I also appreciate you, seeing what I was working towards, right? I mean, like you mentioned there, Wyatt and I got into the media room and just started to grind right away. I mean, we realized the opportunity we had at hand, and we knew this wasn't something that would just fall off a tree, right? And so, 2023 came around. We were still freshmen at the time at UNLV, and we just decided to go with it, keep grinding, keep showing up. And thankfully, I'm here now, and it's just, the beginning, right? There's a long way to go, and I'm excited to be working alongside you at the biggest events of them all and at the smallest ones of them all. So thank you so much for that. And yeah, just to kind of go along that, a little bit more about myself. My mom is a lifelong journalist. I think that's where I started to find the passion for this. She was more on the hard news side of things, and I kind of combined that, seeing everything she does and she's done throughout her whole life, combined that to my love for sports, and I kind of equal it into me, into what I'm doing right now, and specifically combat sports right now, right? I mean, being in Vegas, fight capital of the world, the opportunity was there. I was born in Miami Beach. I moved out here when I was 2 because of my mom. My mom got a job offer out here. And yeah, I mean, I've just spin around. I've seen it all. And even a fun fact that a lot of people don't know is my dad actually used to have his own local magazine here in Las Vegas. And he actually covered UFC events way back in the day.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I would see him come back from these events, and he'd sit down on his desk and pull up the little kiddie chair next to him and put in his SD card and show me, hey, look, here's a photo of Cain Velasquez warming up in open workouts. And I'm like, that's the coolest thing ever. And then there was times where, now looking back, hindsight, I don't know if maybe it was just a bit more chill back then, or he just got permission to, there was times where I'd go see these things. I went to a ceremonial weigh-in, and they allowed him to have me kind of tag along with him, being since I was so little. And, I got to meet some of the guys, obviously he wasn't, he had to do his thing, but I was out there meeting some of the fighters and stuff, and just kind of soaking up the fight week atmosphere as a little kid, and I take home all the merch I can get. I have so much head rush stuff, tap out stuff from back in the day, muscle farm, all that good stuff. And just kind of being exposed to that at a young age made me fall in love with it. And so now for me, it was a huge full circle moment to get into the UFC media room, a room that my dad was once in way back in the day. And, now I'm trying to take the torch as far as I can and see where this thing takes me. So I'm excited, man. And I'm excited to see what's in store.
That's awesome. I still remember when you and Wyatt, when you first started showing up, would do your little stand-ups. You're like, we're going to go down the hallway and film it. And it reminded me of when I was in film school and other stuff. You guys would be down there for an hour, take after take, doing other stuff. And I remember I was just like, they'll get there. But I remember just, it was so awesome to see, because it took me back. But you never forget that sort of stuff, people, trying to learn their craft and their trade and start to do that, and I always respected that. And I always just, because I remember I'm always the last dude leaving the media room, because I have so much gear and I finally packing up. And I remember I'm packing up and leaving, and I'm looking down the hallway before I walk out, and I'm like, oh, yep, look, they're down there still doing their stand-ups or whatever. And I remember just thinking that's awesome. So That's so cool. That's so cool, man. Well, welcome to the team. I know that everybody's excited to see what becomes of you. You're starting strong, and your whole future is ahead of you, man. To get this opportunity, I know you're going to use it to the most, and I know that you're going to do what you need to do. But you've hit the ground running, man, and I really appreciate your effort. And because there's not a lot of time for us to walk somebody through the process. You either gonna rise to the occasion, or it's like, do we fuck up here and get the wrong dude, and you've risen to the occasion, which is really, really cool. So, um, and then flipping to the other side and our other guests, so when I'm sitting in the front row, starting to chat, and we either do some questions and stuff, a lot of times in the media room, people don't say anything. That's why I miss when Amy Kaplan was there. Amy would always jump in and would do stuff, and I'd feel like we'd just carry the rest of the night. But a lot of people don't do stuff. And then I remember there was this night, and there's this black-haired chick behind me, and jumped right the F into the question, started talking about boxing, started talking about all kinds of shit. But one of the great things, too, is that while she was doing her stuff, she wasn't trying to do social. She wasn't, like, doing social videos. She wasn't sitting there making about, just stupid comments. She was literally asking interesting questions about, whose phone is that, by the way? Who's dinging? Is that you, Jero?
It's going through. I muted my notifications, but I don't know.
Okay. I was like, you popular dude. Like, my phone won't go out with one notification like every like 3 years, and I'm like, man, this guy's to be young and have people wanting to find you and stuff.
Right. That young
but
life.
But the DND doesn't go through as well on the Mac. I mean, it's on my phone, but I just made sure it's on the Mac now too, so.
No, it's all good. I'm like, oh, so he does get notifications when people do text him. I tease. So going back to, when I was seeing this young lady behind me chat, and then like not making like stupid bullshit comments of like in the media room, like a lot of people are like, oh, just stupid shit. And because some people comment, you could tell they're not in the right spot, and they won't last long in this unless they just stick with the social stuff. And that was you, Destiny. And I was thoroughly impressed by you jumping right in there, starting to do your shit, your knowledge of the boxing, and then your interest and stuff. And one of the cool things too is like you're greeting everybody in the room, but like it wasn't like, oh hey, I'm so and so, like, follow me. Do you have you on Instagram? You should follow my account. It wasn't like that. It was like, hey, I'm Destiny. Blah blah blah. Do you know what fighter they're gonna bring back here next? Do you know blah blah blah? And I was like, okay, I like this motherfucker. Like, she's trying to work, and you really impressed me with that. And I knew you were early on, but one, I thought you were respectful. You respected the space that we were in. You asked legitimate, like, smart questions. You interacted good with the fighters. You did follow-ups, which meant you were paying attention to the answers, as opposed to some people are like, here's my 3 questions. I'm going to ask question 1. Okay, now I have to ask question 2, even though they literally tossed you up a softball that you could have do. And some people won't see that because they're so caught up. Sometimes they just get nervous, but obviously you did a great job. And that was another reason why I was like, okay, like, this is cool. Like, there's new people that are actually kind of like thrive in this space, and so that's why, I have to give you credit as well. A lot of people show up, and a lot of people don't do it for the right reason. They just do it to be there. They do the free meal and they do whatever. So I know you weren't initially going to be working the event this week. And we'll talk about the UFC Vegas 119 here in a second. But then you hopped on and you're like, no, I'm gonna come. I'm gonna come and do my thing. I'm gonna do my other stuff, my other work on the other days. But I'm gonna be there Saturday night, and I know you're gonna be there asking questions. So I guess you have an interesting story, and we'll get to the power slap side and all the other crazy shit that you do. But what brought you to want to do the MMA media stuff and took you into a podcast and all the other kind of stuff?
It kind of all started like very randomly. First of all, thank you so much for having me and for those kind words. To be considered being like the next generation, especially next to somebody like Jero, is a huge compliment that I do not take lightly. So thank you so much. But yeah, I mean, I competed for a long time. I did MMA, I boxed, and then I've done, jiu-jitsu tournaments, recently gone to power slap. So I've been in the fight game for 11 years now. I always knew that I wanted to kind of be involved even after my competition days were behind me, but I didn't really know in what capacity.
Behind
Um,
you? What? You ain't done yet, are you?
I don't know. I don't know. Well, money talks,
There
but
you
other
go.
than
That's
that,
it. That's it.
I'm too old to be just taking fight camps for no reason. But slap camps are a lot easier to get through, so I can handle those. But I had a friend from back home, so I'm from Ogden, Utah. That's where I was actually just last week. They started a boxing promotion about a year ago, a little over a year ago, and asked me if I wanted to be a part of it. Asked if I'd be interested in ring announcing. And I was like, not really. I was thinking more commentary, but I ended up going, doing it, did the ring announcing. Now they've just had their fifth show. So now I do everything for them. I do the ring announcing, I do the interviews, I do the commentary, and then I kind of do like a little bit of media stuff throughout the week. But when I did the first show, Millions.co reached out to me and was like, "Hey, you did really great. Would you be interested in interviewing fighters on our platform?" And I was like, "Sure." Like I never thought about that, but I was like, "Sure." So I started doing that, and then that just kind of started to grow. I was doing so many interviews a month, and then somebody had recommended that I start a YouTube channel, so then I did that, and then somebody invited me into their studio to do an interview that I was doing, and the podcasting just kind of grew from that. So that was last April that I started in the corner, and then it's just so crazy now to be able to have credentials to be at a UFC event, because I remember when I first started, like that seemed so far out of reach, getting
Yep.
credentials to be with the UFC. So just being here a year later is crazy to me. It's surreal, but I'm so blessed, and it's hard work. You guys know that. So
Well, one of the great things that you're doing too, and one of the things that people are always like, "How do I get into this? How do I do this? I want to get credentialed. I want to go whatever." But where do they start? They wanted to try to start for the big pay-per-views, the T-Mobiles. They're like, "Oh, I know that Connor's coming back. You think I can get credentialed?" I'm like, "No, because you ain't nobody. You ain't doing anything." I was like, the best way you could do it is you take the fight nights that nobody's credentialed on, that nobody wants to work.
mhm.
Go to the Horiguchi versus Kape rematch. See if you can get in there
Yeah,
and start showing
yeah,
yourself. And then when the UFC starts seeing, because the UFC will look to see, one, is the content going out anywhere? Are you putting anything out? Are stories being written? Is there any sort of work being done from them allowing you inside? And a lot of people don't. So I always tell people, like, if you want to try to get it, you got to start getting to the other shows, and that's what you
hmm
did. I mean, you started getting like,
yeah,
hey, can I go to this? Can I do Zuffa boxing? Can I do the grappling? Can I do all this stuff? The UFC's got all these other things that are sort of not really UFC event, but they're UFC adjacent, if you will. And it's
hmm
like, I tell people, I'm like, do you want to start getting yourself in there? It's the same PR people. Like, work one of
yeah,
the smaller events, whether they go to Boise, Idaho somewhere, and
yes,
like it might be a smaller event. Put in for that one. You're not going to get on the big Madison Square Gardens or the T-Mobile events without
hmm
doing the legwork. So, I credit
yeah,
people that, you took the initiative, you started grinding, you're showing for stuff, and now you're getting freaking credentialed. You did what you
yeah,
needed to do. But you do the work. Just like I said, you show up, you ask questions, you're present, you're there, you're doing stuff. They notice that stuff. They hear from that and they see all
yeah,
that stuff, and you're doing all the right things. So you're being rewarded for your hard work.
yes,
You're not being rewarded for being a fighter or a power slapper or whatever. They're going off literally what you did to prove yourself to get in there. So, I mean, that's
yeah.
to be commended for. I mean, because a lot of people get the opportunity and they fuck it up. You didn't fuck it up. So
And shout out to Cage Side Press and Eddie Law for giving me the opportunity. They took me in onto their team, under their wing, and they forced me to grow. They made me level up. Like it was like, okay, you could do BJJ, you could do MVP, you could do these shows. After MVP, it was kind of like that's when he was like, okay, you're ready for the UFC. So that was awesome.
that's pretty darn cool. Well, very cool. I know we rambled a little bit about, talking about you guys, but I figured 20 minutes to give you guys to kind of talk about yourselves and let the people start to see you, because they're going to see your names again. I'm sure you'll be on here again, but I want to make sure to give a shout out. So I appreciate that you guys, again, are on here helping out. Somebody had to pick up John's slack that he left, as he's off being a general manager,
We
doing all
got
that
you,
other kind of
John.
stuff. That's right. But this show goes on, episode 586, baby. We're always going to give you a show through thick or thin. We're going to be here. So, I guess I just wanted to take us back. Before we start talking about this weekend. UFC did just put on one hell of a show. Harry, you were there with me, but UFC Freedom 250. If you want, I give the floor to you guys. If you want to kind of just tell me what you thought about the event, what it meant, just lasting thoughts on the production, lasting thoughts on the fights, anything you want to kind of talk. I'll just kind of offer it up to whoever kind of wants to go first.
It was absolutely incredible. And I just want to know, Jero, how was it like being out there? Like you just getting started. I was just so excited for you. You look like you killed it.
Thank you so much, Destiny. Yeah, it was amazing to join Kenny and Mike out there on site, and one of the most historic fight weeks, or to some people the most historic fight week of all time, just given how the circumstances that went into putting that fight week on. And yeah, overall thoughts. I think the fights were amazing. I think we were treated to a really good mixed martial arts card, right? I mean, people always talk about the circumstances outside of the fighting, obviously fighting on the White House on the South Lawn and everything. But I think the overall show was amazing. The production was great. The UFC finds a way to kill it every time, and I commend them for that. Right? We saw the Sphere in 2024, and then Dana got the idea of the White House not too long after, and we're like, well, let's see, and they did the damn thing. So commend to that, and it turned out well. It turned out well. I mean, I've always told people these past like couple of weeks, especially since I got back from DC these past couple of days, I'm like, it was never on my bingo card, and never, and neither on yours or the guy next door's bingo cards, that we'd see guys fight on the South Lawn of the White House, much less be executed the way it was executed last weekend. So, commend to the UFC for that, and it was a great card from literally from bottom to top. Great fights, high energy, a lot of movement in certain divisions, and obviously ended off with a big underdog win and a big win for the US, if you want to say.
Yeah, because like you said, regardless of the production itself, without the fights, it could have been not as special. At the end of the day, the fighters did what they needed to do. Like the spectacle of where it was at, the backdrop was amazing, but without those fighters doing what they did, I don't think we'd have the same extra warm feeling we felt about how the night came across. So,
And you think of
Destiny,
stuff like in the Sphere too. Like we had a
yeah,
great Sphere production from, I'd say the production was amazing the whole night, but people would always kind of talk about it looking back. Like first couple fights were great, and then you see that fight Ribovic versus Zaluber was amazing, but then we got to the co-main and main, and things kind of started to dwindle down a
temper
bit.
a little bit.
Yeah,
Yep.
it wasn't like, it's not saying it was a bad fight, but I mean to the casual eye, they're like, okay, well, cool. I mean, but
And
I
I
feel like
remember.
this card lived up to standards inside the cage and as
And
well.
right, it's funny because you bring up the Sphere, because I remember by the end of that one, I was still, even though I knew the fight was on, I found myself still, the Sphere was like front and center. I found myself still looking through all the Easter eggs, all the city backdrop that was going on while the fight was going on, because I was just like, how can I not stare at this thing? And it just like, it almost felt like the fight was second nature, but it didn't help that the fight wasn't pulling me in. Like, I feel if I was watching Ilya and Justin throw down like they were, I would not be able to look away from it. Like, it just wasn't the same when it came down to like the Marab and Sean fight. It was just like, or whatever, it was like, it wasn't the same. It was just like, this is cool, but it's not as cool as it could be. But Destiny, so you weren't there, so you didn't get caught up in all the crazy humidity, sweat, rain, nastiness. But as you're watching it on the TV, did it still feel like this monumental thing? Did it come across on the TV?
Yes, 100%. I'm not gonna lie, I cried in the opening
Oh,
part of it.
yeah.
Like the just everything they did with the planes and the way they opened the show was just absolutely incredible. It was like, yeah, like I cried. It was like just you felt really proud to be an American, and it was just like so awesome to see this event that they were putting on and honoring our heroes. And then just the way like you said, the production was impeccable, and like the fighters, each walkout was a different walkout or different room, different setting, and you could just see the honor in the fighters, like
Yep.
that they had to be there. They understood the assignment. They knew how big it was, each and every single one of them, and so it was awesome. And then obviously that last fight, that was I I watched it alone, and I'm so glad I did because I was a maniac. I was literally up and up on my feet, jumping and screaming at the TV at Justin. Like, oh my goodness, it was. I think one of the best fights of all time. It's definitely a Hall of Fame event. It's a Hall of Fame fight. Just amazing.
Yeah, and it's funny. I mean, we do staff picks at MMA Junkie, and I don't know if you have to do any sort of staff picks, but I will be honest and say I had Ilya going into it. Did anybody here have Justin going into it?
I did. I did.
Did you? Good for
Yeah.
you. I mean, I think we
Yeah.
all knew that there was the potential, but I mean, Ilya's been such a wrecking ball just going through people. I was like, I love Justin, and I was like, this is going to be hard to watch him get beat up. And then as the fight was going on, you're like, wait a second.
It's not happening.
This is not happening like I thought this would, you know. So you went in there with Justin ready to take this thing
Yeah.
over, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I thought if anybody could do it, it was Justin. I said like a fight with Justin goes is gonna go one or two ways. He's either getting, knocked out or he's gonna come and he's gonna bring the smoke. It really just depended what Justin showed. It always depends I think Justin is capable of it all. It depends what Justin shows up on fight night. And
Yep.
the perfect Justin showed up. Like my cousin said, any other night it might not have happened like that, but the
Yep.
fact that it was at the White House and he had that on him, he showed up a certain way. And
Yeah,
I'm like, that's a good point too.
walking out of like the Oval Office or whatever. But yeah, those rib shots that Illy was throwing to the midsection. Oh my! I could hear them all the way across the street at the host hotel. Like it was just like
Oh my gosh.
it was sickening. I was like, how is he walking through that? And then when he started dismantling Ilya's face, and Ilya's eyes started
Oh
looking
my
bad, I
gosh.
was like, oh wow, this is
There was
not
one
what I thought was going to
shot where
happen.
you watched like you like seen the orbital break. I
Yeah,
don't know if you guys remember that or like, you guys seen that, but there was like one shot and like it like you seen the bone like move. Ugh, it was just so sad to see. Like you don't,
yeah,
and that's the thing is like we all love wars, we love those fights, but you also still don't want to see like these fighters have to go through that and
yeah,
like have to like still want to compete and fight because that's just who they are, but
yeah,
they cannot. Like I'm so glad that they called the fight because I always say this like fighting is not a game. Like we can die in there, and like it could have been way bad if he continued, So I'm
yeah.
really glad to see them call that fight
No, I
when they
agree.
did.
I saw stuff to go off that I saw on Instagram. People were saying like, in that moment when the fight got called off, like it's like the Ilya we saw, and it showed, the photos of Ilya being invincible,
Yep.
undefeated, and then it showed the next slide. It says the photo or the Ilya Alexandre saw, and it showed photos of them when they were little,
Yes.
growing up, going through,
They gave me the chills.
I'm like that's beautiful, and like you going off on what you just said, like we got to put the fighters first, and
Yep.
they gave us a great
Yeah.
fight and good decision to call it there. And obviously that's good insight from you. You mean you've been in the cage, you know how that feels. So it's easy for
Yeah.
us to get caught up in wanting to see these guys put their lives on the line for our entertainment.
Yeah, to see him go out on their shield, like let him go on the shield, and it's like, no, you're right. You should really stop it and save this fighter because at the end of the day, they are fathers, wives, mothers. They are, they are living and
Yeah.
doing this usually for somebody else, not just for themselves. And
My heart's
sometimes you
still
have to help
breaking
them.
for Ilya.
Yeah,
Like I think about Ilya like every day since. I'm like, I wonder how Ilya's doing. I feel so bad.
yeah, slide
It
up in them
sucks.
DMs.
And
He's single now, right?
how you doing, Ilya? You good?
How's the
I
eye?
know. Both eyes.
Yeah, how are the
That's-
eyes?
what I wanted to touch on is I thought that was crazy because Mark Goddard called it going into the fourth, and then he said, "Okay, we'll continue." I've never seen a doctor
Well,
call a fight and
I
then
was gonna say, yeah,
overrule that.
the doctor did, but it's funny because I've seen that the docs have been overruled in the past a little bit, like where I think sometimes they are a little too precautious, and a little too much like,
Mm.
well, normally this is probably not going to be whatever or something like that. And he probably saw like the bone, or saw the way his eyes shattered and was like, okay, yeah, this needs to go. And Goddard's like, well, we're not quite there yet, like the fighter can still see, and he wants to continue, like, let's go a little bit. And then it just got to the point where it's like, okay, yeah, this has got to stop, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's not we usually see immediately when a doctor says something. Usually the ref immediately will call it off. So it was kind of jarring to see, like, oh wait, they could push back, but they actually do and can push back. It doesn't happen often, but I mean,
Hmm.
who would have? Who? I don't think anybody held it against them. I think everybody was like, "Fuck yes, thank gosh, this is
Yeah.
this is still going forward." You almost like you heard it in the crowd there too, like they were like, "Yes, let it keep going,"
I know in the media room people
And
were,
you,
when Mark, said to keep going, people were saying, "Oh, big up Mark,"
Yeah, yeah. There might have been a cheer that went up in the room.
yeah. And it's just crazy because even not being able to see out of both of his eyes, he still looked sharp. He
Yep.
he still looked good, you know. He was still out there like that. That's incredible too. And he said he wasn't able to see since round two out of both eyes.
That's crazy. That just shows, man, what we know about Gagey and how powerful and how tough he is. But some days I'm sure you can eat those shots and his eyes don't. The orbital doesn't break. The things don't happen. But
Yeah.
sometimes it's just on a certain night. I guess it's just not your it's
Hmm.
not your night. Your body tries to do what it normally does, and sometimes it doesn't happen that way. And that happened to be that night. But yeah, man, what an incredible fight. Congrats to Justin getting the none of this interim stuff. He's the full on
Yeah.
champ now, which is so cool for him. And I thought, I think a lot of us joked too, like, bro, he's going to get the belt and he's literally going to just put it down. Like, it's not ever going to get any bigger than that space. Like, that's it. Like, why not
Uh-huh.
leave a top at the biggest thing instead of like, like I brought up Boise, like, my final fight here in Boise. And it's like, bro, you could have laid it down at the White House. Like, could have did like,
Do you guys think he retires?
Now that he didn't do it there, I'm like, bro, might as well just fight a little bit more.
he's gonna try to
Get some
defend
money.
it too.
Yeah, I would imagine he's going to try to
Yeah.
get some money and just have some fun fights. But I mean, I feel like for the past year or two, he's already kind of been like, I'm not long for this world. I want the fights that I want to fight. I want to get these money fights, get the potential for the belt. He was going for the belt. Now he's got the belt, so now there has a potential of like at least defend it once, maybe twice, and then
Yeah.
then call it a day. But if you defend it once and you didn't hang it up at the White House, might as well try to defend it a second time. And just defend it until you lose it, and then when you lose it, call it a day. That's what.
Just got to have
Okay.
the EMF interim and undisputed championship. Fun little fact there. So I mean, I'm sure for him too. He likes fighting these guys. You don't have to ask him to fight guys, and so like
Yep.
you said, if he didn't put it down there, I know he's gonna want to say he defended the lightweight championship, the
Yeah.
undisputed lightweight championship, especially a division that's just historically so stacked and so good. If he could say, I beat Ilya and I defended against, I don't know, Armin, someone like that, who and many people say should have been fighting for the title and stuff.
Yep.
I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be incredible. That would be an
What
incredible
an
one.
what an incredible career for
Yeah.
Justin. Just
100%.
wow.
And I guess because I feel like we could take up an hour just talking about Freedom 250, but we will give a little bit of love to the other belt that did get handed over to Cyril Gahn. What a performance. What a fight. I mean,
Yeah.
it's another one that I picked wrong. I rode the Pajero
Yeah, you had-
train,
you had Alex?
and I went Alex just
I did
because,
too.
like Shama. Dude walks out with the headdress. I'm like, bro, that's my dude.
Shama
like,
on your
how can you
mama.
not? Shama on your mama. I guess thoughts on that fight. What do you think of the performance? What do you think about? I know a lot of people. We had the people talking about, oh, the strikes to the back of the head. We had Mark Goddard. John McCarthy came on MMA Junkie Radio and gave a great explanation of what is in fact. Back of the head shots, illegal shots, and whatnot. So if people haven't, go to see that interview.
Okay.
We put a clip out that was sort of a condensed 3 minutes of his answer, kind of doing it. I tried to find, a decent part that talked a little bit about it, and I still had to cut some stuff down because Big John can talk forever. Bro will talk about one answer and it could literally go 30 minutes, but he's just very, very intelligent and understands the rule set, but he breaks it down really good. So if anybody has any questions about that particular portion, I encourage you to go to the MMA Junkies YouTube and watch the video with MMA Junkie Radio with George and Goes. They did a really good job of talking with Big John and get that out. But thoughts on Cyril? Thoughts on that performance, and what do you foresee for the future with Cyril having that belt?
He looked insane out there. I mean, I think Cyril Gahn's a guy that, I mean, a lot of people by now would have expected him to be an undisputed champion.
Yep.
I mean, especially, I remember back then, when he beat Derek Lewis for the interim title, the narrative going into that Francis fight was that Cyril was just going to take it off him. You know, Francis wasn't necessarily as active and stuff, and
Yep.
people just thought Cyril should have was going to, you know, take the belt off him. And even after the fight, people scored that fight at UFC 270 for Cyril Gane, and so people kept thinking that Cyril Gane should be undisputed, and it's been, you know, X amount of years, and we still haven't seen Cyril Gane with an undisputed belt. But now, I think he's really, even at the age of 36, he's starting to come into his own.
Yep.
I know it's kind of weird saying that, but like
Right.
he's put up great performances. Yes, there's going to be an asterisk maybe next to his last fight against Tom Aspinall, given the way it ended and given the way, you know, some of the comments he's received about his performance. But he looked good. I mean, a lot of people had Tom Aspinall going in there and taking him out, taking care of business, and
This guy did. And watching that fight, you're like, wow, okay, Cyril Gane's the real deal.
Exactly.
Cyril Gane's the real
Yeah.
deal. He dominated Tom, man. And before the unfortunate end of that, he was dominating that fight, man. And I feel like his momentum is just, it never stopped. It never went down. He's just continuing that momentum, you know, upwards. And look at him now.
Look at him now. I think it'll be interesting to see the odds come out for Aspinall Gane. I mean, you do UFC Paris main event. I mean, you got to think Gane has everything to win right there. And so, to answer your question, I think Cyril Gane showed out at the White House. He looked great. Alex Pereira just ran into someone better that night. Obviously, there's, like you mentioned, the strikes and stuff, the illegal strikes. That's, you know, been a huge, heavy topic of conversation. But Cyril Gane was just great that night, and I commend that to Bonga.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, the illegal strikes didn't win the fight. He won that fight, you know, very clearly. He just looked so good, moved so well, so fluently. Um, I think that maybe Alex doesn't need to get so big, you know? Like I don't know why he like weighed in so heavy. I think like maybe he could go down a little and probably move better, you know? So yeah, I think it's also sad to see, you know, a fighter that you like hold on such a pedestal and like have seen just, you know, walk through people, like have to go through that too. So that was hard. But yeah, I mean, you can't take anything away from Sarah. That was a beautiful performance, and to beat somebody like Alex Pereira is awesome to have on your resume, especially at the White House.
I feel like a lot of people were bringing up. You talk about him getting so big because I think he was actually even heavier than Cyril, right?
Yeah,
I believe he was 251, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people were really saying that he looked too big. I mean, like you still look at him, he looked absolutely like a fucking beast, man. But like Cyril's a whole other level too. But like, it's funny when people look at a guy like, you know, Alex, like, oh, he's wearing too much weight. And I'm looking at myself, who I'm heavier than both of those motherfuckers. I'm just like, I'd love to look like that, you know, like. So yeah, I thought it was interesting, but maybe there was something to that. He definitely didn't. He felt like he was plotting. He was walking forward a lot towards Cyril, and Cyril was throwing things, but he wasn't throwing. And I was just like, and even like the commentary was sort of talking about is like it was just he was like this intimidating force where he was just kind of walking forward, but he wasn't throwing anything. And I felt like maybe that was part of him trying to conserve strength, trying to conserve stuff as the round goes on, you know, because he is a bigger guy carrying this bigger frame. Maybe he realized he does get tired, but then I was like, Cyril was just good. He just kept throwing shit and was landing some really, really good shots. And, you know, that stuff started adding up. But, yeah, maybe there is something with the going up so big, you know, that you just throws off the way that your body normally, where, you know, it's not like he's always going out there and just throwing 100 shots per minute. But usually when he does that plotting forward, he has that energy, but he's actually throwing stuff. And I just felt like he was a little gun shy. And then he was taking some damage, and you just can't do that against a guy that's being so active and probably fighting the best he ever has right now. And Cyril's just a beast, man. So, yeah, I mean, it was an incredible performance. I definitely, you know, there were some shots that were to the back of the back of the head, the side of the back of the head, all the other kind of stuff, you know, and I'm sure even just one of those shots is debilitating. So the fact that he took some of those shots, got back up before he eventually got dropped, I mean, that shows a lot of heart and what it meant to him. There's just something about a guy that can't even speak the language that people absolutely adore this dude. What his mojo, everything that he brings to the fight week. It's just something so very, very cool that, you know, people were literally like booing Gon, and like, what can you boo Gon for? The dude is like the nicest guy ever. He doesn't say anything wrong. He doesn't talk shit, but people were literally booing because you weren't their dude, you know. So Alex will recover. I mean, we'll see him in there again. It'd be interesting to see if he wants to stay at this division, or if I think he's got to make some decision of what's next. I mean, you guys think he stays big? You think he tries to go down? I mean, like, that's a big drop down again. You know, you come in at 250 something, going back to 205, 206.
That's
bro,
work. That's work.
That's like, I got to stay away from this game for a little bit and redo everything, you know? Like, do you know that he just fought for the top of it?
He'd be out.
Know, if he's fought at the top of the level, he knows he's at least at that level to compete for it. But knowing that it'd be really, really hard to go back, do you just take that on the chin, stay at the heavyweight, just get back in and try to be a good heavyweight that can take guys out, knowing that you tried to be at the top, but you might not have the skill set to beat the number one? Is that enough, or do you think that he maybe weighs in the decision, well, I was a champ down below, maybe let me repivot and go back down? Because like you said, it's going to take time. It's going to take months and months and months of learning how to be disciplined again and cutting all that stuff out. I mean, like, it wasn't like he was the smallest light heavyweight, but I don't think he was walking around at 205 by any means, but there wasn't a 50-pound weight cut, going into these things. But
yeah,
I think he could potentially do well. I think maybe just getting back with his team and coming up with, like a better game plan as far as nutrition, like some strength conditioning. I think he still has a chance to do well. I just need to tweak some things.
And
I
staying at
personally
heavyweight,
think.
you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And staying at
What do you think, Harold?
Yeah, I mean, also, too, if he wants to cut back down, it's like you turn 39 here in a couple of weeks, and
it gets harder and harder.
Are you willing to put your body through that, right? Like you mentioned there, it's a big process to go back down to weight class he just came out from, and at the age he's at right now, and just everything he's accomplished, it's not like he needs to go back down, needs to reclaim that, 205. It's not like he has. I mean, there's a little storyline with this, city kickboxing stuff, but it's not like he needs to beat Carlos Ulberg or something like that, It's not like it was someone that has his number that he wants to, get in revenge on. So I think, he could try to do his best now at heavyweight, right? Don't put your body through suffering that it's going to be taken through if you go back down at 205.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just become a good heavyweight, maybe great heavyweight, right? I mean, if there's anyone that's defied stuff, it's Alex Pereira, right?
Yep.
So
yeah,
I feel like if there's
it's definitely possible.
It's Alex. So I trust that him and Plinio can make the adjustments and see how far they can go in heavyweight.
Yeah. And there's no shame being at the top of the division but not being the champion. Being in the top 15, even being in the UFC, we know is amazing on its own right, And I would think that would be enough, especially, if he's getting good paydays. People are going to be calling this dude out. He's not going to be short of fights. People want to fight him because people want that name on the wall, So he can definitely stay active. But yeah, I think it'd be the right move, and I hope that's enough for him. He's done so well, and he's been the champ. Sometimes I think it's hard for some of these fighters if they come to the realization is like, I won't be able to get to the top of this. Do I want to stay in this? Do I want to still do this? But if he's still enjoying the challenges, he's still enjoying the money, still enjoys, performing for people because people absolutely love the dude. I hope he sticks around, and I hope he, just embraces it, and I hope it's enough. I hope he still wants to do it. But it was what an incredible couple fights, man, and you can't be happier for both champs. I mean, both just good, solid people that are fun to be around on the fight weeks. They're always good. I always tell people, it's one thing people are like, oh man, you have the greatest job, you just are traveling, you do this. Part of it too is you get to meet these individuals that do one of the craziest things ever, like Destiny yourself, deciding to get into a cage when it's like, I'm cool kind of not fighting, like I'm kind of cool not whatever, but to get in there and do it, but also still be one of the most likable, just jovial folks that you look like, dude, he looks like this person that you can go out and have a barbecue and have a couple beers and then kick it and just be fun, and like there's something amazing about this sport because they do some of the craziest shit ever, and they are literally some of the coolest, most unique people that we know. Now granted, there are some some characters that aren't as good as others in this sport, but for the most part, there were some great characters in the sport, and these two champs, I think, are some of the biggest favorites for a reason, because they just resonate with so many people on so many aspects, and they're just nice individuals. They're nice guys. Nobody wants to come talk in front of media over and over and over, but to come in and be able to do it with a smile and do it with professionalism, and not fight back with us because they don't want to be with it. They understand the game. They understand what they need to do. So it's nice to see real professionals that represent the sport. They're good representatives of the sport. Like these are two champs that you can, if you want to take to somebody that's just learned about the sport, and like, well, what are these people like? Well, look at this guy and then look at this guy. Like, they're both good representatives for the sport. So I'm very, very happy that they're both they got that. So
when you talk about the negative examples, are you referring to someone on that very same fight?
There might have been somebody on that very card that is not living up
Chum
to
on your mama?
Yeah, he is not living up to. He can certainly fight he can fight his ass off, but yeah, he has a way of. He certainly found a way to ruin the vibe of the event. That's for sure. But we don't need to give him mention. But but I can't discredit his work. He destroyed my boy, and it is what it is.
Love him as a fighter.
Yeah, I mean, he's a hell of a fighter, but man, just shut the F up, dude.
Like
when he's himself, it's cool. I like listening to him.
Yeah,
but when it's the character,
he's actually normal.
I'm just like, I don't watch. I mean, I don't watch a lot of professional wrestling for a reason, and now you're forcing me when I want to find about you and your mindset. You want to go into La La Land, it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he's legit partially maybe schizophrenic or something. He has multiple personalities. This is just his way of dealing with it. I don't think so, but he says some pretty shit. He says some pretty shit. What he said about
he might have CTE.
Yeah,
I guarantee he's got CTE. But yeah, it was a little shitty. I thought that was the only black mark on the event, outside of not talking about the politics and everything leading into it. But as for the nights for fight were amazing. I thought the post-fight interviews and everything, everybody was just going with the vibe. The troops were happy, and then he kind of fell flat with his stupid ass comment, So, but yeah, that's why we didn't mention his name. But you all know who we're talking about.
I have a question. Did you guys feel like the humidity affected the fighters' cardio? Like, did you notice that?
I mean, I haven't heard from them, but I would imagine that it had to play into it a little bit. But I think maybe not so much as for like what you would happen at altitude, but I think the fact that it made their bodies sweatier and maybe warmed up a little bit better. Maybe if anything, it got them. They had to make sure they stayed hydrated. But I didn't feel like we got the same thing when we saw somebody go fight at super high elevation where all of a sudden they're sluggish or whatever. I didn't feel like we got that, but I definitely could feel. It did look like they got
some
sweaty
tired out
sooner
like a little
and
earlier
like
than they would or something. Yeah. Okay, I was just wondering.
I mean, it could be small things like that also play. That's things that people don't see on the TV screen that play different into some of these guys and how they perform. And I mean, I know I was talking with my good buddy Anik. Shout out Anik from Kimura. He's always at these events, grinding, asking questions.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Good kid.
He was talking about like, hey, any little outside factor, whether it's like the weather, bugs, delays. He's like, I think that all plays into Gaethje's favor. And there you go. I mean, I wasn't out there fighting a world champion, but I can only assume, stuff like that potentially doesn't change a fight completely, but little stuff like that can add up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially if you're a guy like Ilya who's used to training in these, high-end facilities.
Super
you have
nice
your own
gym.
house.
Yeah.
All that stuff,
That was like from Rocky. It was like Ivan Drago having to fight like Rocky, who was training out in the woods and running through the snow.
Yeah, exactly.
Harold might not know that movie. That was done before he was born. There's a movie. You should go back and watch these movies called Rocky. They were really good. They were way back in the day.
I'll check them out one day.
They're historical documents. You should check them out.
Yeah. I heard they have something in Philadelphia.
And for this last little wrap up, let's hop over to this week, the event that we have on hand, UFC Vegas 119, or what we would call also internally UFC Fight Night 279. Kape versus Horiguchi 2, the long-awaited rematch. Not really long-awaited, but a long-coming rematch.
Depends where you're from. Depends where you're from. I mean,
Yeah, if we were in Japan, we were waiting for it,
Yeah.
right?
this fight could have easily taken place in Japan.
Yes.
I mean, you see a guy like Manel, and I've grown to become a big admirer of Japanese combat,
Yep.
Japanese MMA, and obviously Pride did its thing, and then even I mean Ryzen's big out there.
Yep.
I don't think quite to the extent of what Pride was back in the day, but you see a guy like Manel that was very active under the Ryzen banner, and he has so many fans from Japan. And there was, you know, in typical Manel fashion, he was talking back and forth with Kyoji back in the day, and that fight garnered a lot of attention back then. They sold out the iconic venue out there, and I think easily. I mean, I see a lot of people saying they should not be fighting in the warehouse, but yeah, it is. I think it might be long awaited for some people, you know.
But you're right in that aspect when these guys literally could be at the Saitama Super Arena or something like that, and they're like, "No, we're in the Meta Apex," which is very, very similar. Not. But no, it's
Going up to Saitama is something, man.
Happy to be there. We still get to be there, which is awesome.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I remember the first time I when this was when I was still working for the UFC, got to work some events over in the Saitama, and I remember going in there and just thinking like, this is freaking bonkers. Like, I can't believe I'm walking into this space. It's funny, I don't remember a lot of shit, like a lot of venues and stuff, just because after a while it all becomes like a blur. But to this day, I could still envision walking through the back hallways. I think I could find my way to the back side door that would take you into the arena, but also would take you to the media, because I remember I was taking it all in so much that I was just like, I'm never going to forget this. Such an iconic place, you know, that is just amazing for the history of the sport, and the fact of so many people in a giant room that would be quiet watching stuff happen, the grappling and all the other stuff, and when somebody would escape from some jiu-jitsu, and then the politely clapping, but then the cheering sort of come up, and I was like, this is just like what they said. Like, they're so polite, they're so educated, and they're so into it, and there was just something. I love it. Japan actually is probably Tokyo is probably my favorite city to go. People always ask me, like, where's your favorite place to visit? Tokyo, hands down, you know. So I would love if the UFC would go back over there and get a chance to go over there. Someday offline, I'll tell you some stories back to Japan. The road show people have heard some of these stories, but I don't need to rehash it right now, but I will rehash it on
I don't want to get us too off track, but I know the viewers may not see this if it's audio, but I mean, I got some Pride DVDs here.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that.
These are just a couple, but I mean, my dad, showcased Pride to me.
Yeah.
As a little kid, and you see, you know, the crazy entrances, the crazy Pride lady.
Oh, the Pride lady was the best. I should know her name, but just her voice is iconic. Just so iconic. Just listening to that, like, that's still the greatest. I think just one of the greatest voices ever when it comes to like just hype you up. Like, no offense to Bruce or whatnot, and all of our friends that do that stuff, Joe, and all these cats. I mean, Justin, all these guys are like, she was the shit. Like, that shit was like just like legendary. Just incredible.
I remember as a kid when I heard like from Brazil, Vanderlei. I'm like, bro, it's like I get chills talking about it, you know? I'm like,
I love it.
The Rude Sandstorm starts playing.
Oh yeah, yep. Oh,
I don't want to get off track here, but just I love Japanese.
I love that.
So intense. But like, all right, so yeah, we started talking a little bit about Manel, and we started talking about Horiguchi. This is a rematch. Horiguchi won the first one. You know, it was a long time ago. It was like 2017. It was almost 10 years ago when that fight happened. People change. You know, fighters get better. Both guys have gotten better.
Two different fighters.
You know, so I guess, do you have any early leanings that you guys feel confident and want to say where you're kind of going, and what are your thoughts on how this fight's going to play out?
Go ahead, Harold. You go first.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited for this one. I mean, I think...
Because I know you turned your staff picks in, but I didn't see who you put on your staff picks.
Yeah. I ended up picking Manel Kape.
Did you?
I just think Manel, they both evolved tremendously.
Yeah.
And I'm just, for some reason, I feel confident in the ability of Manel being able to neglect, Kyoji's ability to take the fight where he wants to take it to. It's one of those situations where if he doesn't do it, I think Kyoji's going to have a field day. But I'm confident that he can do it.
Yep.
Regardless, I think Kyoji will be able to hold his own wherever the fight goes as well. So
yep.
I think it's going to be really high level fight. That's my easy prediction. I think it'll be a high level fight, and I just think
Yeah.
Kape gets his hand raised this time. I mean, he told me at the media day that back in, their first fight over in 2017 at the Saitama, he was a Ferrari in the wrong garage. Now he has resources. Now he's training here with some higher level guys. Like, he's got everything going for him now. So I think the new and evolved version of Kape, I mean, it's a very entertaining version
Yeah.
on the microphone in the cage, and I think he'll get it done. But I do not underestimate Kyoji whatsoever in this one either.
Yeah, I agree. I think we have an awesome fight in our hands. I think it's going to be a perfect way to close the show. They're obviously two completely different fighters from when they first faced each other. So I think it's going to be really fun for us to watch. But I'm leaning towards Kape as well. I think he's leveled up immensely over the years, and I think also being here in Las Vegas definitely plays a big part in that as well. Having access to the PI and
Yep.
and all of that and all that training over at Extreme Couture. Obviously, that's a doghouse. So yeah, I'm leaning Cap for sure.
Now, if it goes into the 4th and 5th round, I mean, you got to give Kyoji, a bit of edge maybe there. I
Yep.
mean, Kyoji's fought all over the world. He's fought for a UFC title before, way back in the day.
Way back in the day. It's so crazy to just even think about that. The dude was here and then
The
left.
experience
and
is
then
on
back.
Kyoji's
Yeah,
side.
100%.
So if it does go into deep waters, I mean, I'm not comparing it directly, but I mean, we saw the White House main event get dragged into deep waters, and the guy who has more experience in the deep waters won the fight, And so maybe something similar happens this weekend as well, right? Obviously not for a title, but very important fight for the division. The guy who wins this could be next up, depending on
Absolutely.
Yep.
Pantoja's return, and
Yep.
if Pantoja's still not healthy, winner of this weekend's main event hops straight into it against Joshua Van, or just waits for the winner of Van Pantoja. So high stakes, and I'd like to lean, later if towards Horiguchi if it does get to that, but I'm still staying with Kape as my pick.
There you go. Well, I did
Yeah.
lean Horiguchi because how can you say no to the gooch? And I just, he's there to beat his ass or whatever he said. I'm gonna beat his ass or whatever it was. That video? That video we put his interview on YouTube, and it got they flagged it for limited ads, and I was like, why? It's literally a guy just saying whatever, but it has to be because how many times he said he was gonna beat his ass or whatever or something. I was like, I loved it. It was the one word he could clearly sort of say, and he was just like, I'm beat his ass or whatever over and over, and I was just like, oh, I love Horiguchi, But yes, I believe as the fight goes further on, I think it weighs in his favor. So you guys leaned Kape, but are you thinking he finishes the gooch, or are you think it goes to decision? Because if you're saying a decision, then it kind of leans like he's going to have to either sort of dominate and wear down Kyoji. But how are you willing to say how you think the fight ends?
I think there's the possibility of him, finishing him. I mean, Kape's look really
He does
sharp
have power, and it's really come out lately. I feel like
Yeah, I mean, you don't see that type of power all the time down at 125 pounds. And so if he doesn't finish him, I think he has the ability to, wear him out in those early rounds. And I think it could be one of those cases where he goes up early and maybe Kyoji picks up one or two and you went on the scorecards due to your, performance when you were fresher in terms of energy. Or he impresses everyone and looks great across 5 rounds if it does go 5 rounds and does his thing. But again, I don't think we'll see a 50-45 Kape. I mean, Horiguchi's really good, but I lean towards maybe Kape outworking him in the early rounds and maybe that being enough if it does go the distance, right?
There you
Yeah,
go.
I see it going the distance. Honestly, I do. Yeah, I don't see him finishing Horiguchi. So I'm expecting a long 5-round fight.
Which would be good.
I know it's like I sound like I'm bouncing back and forth, but it was just so hard for me to submit.
It's a tough pick. I mean, to be fair, it's a tough pick because both guys. I mean,
No, it is.
One are beloved, but also are just super super tough, and I mean, and it's hard because I don't think anybody's going back and looking at the last one and saying, well, he won the first one, so more than likely he's going to win this one. Like it doesn't matter in this one. It's so long ago. And it's so interesting to see because, I think both guys are completely different. But Kape is fighting on another level. His confidence is just insane. It's insane right
Yeah.
now, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really cool.
For
It's
sure.
hard to kind of go against somebody when they're feeling themselves that much and has the performances, you know, of recently to kind of back that up. So,
I love what he
Yeah.
said too. He said that Kyoji is the hardest guy
yeah,
in there, and he wants to, kind of gave me the vibe that he just wants to take care of that right now,
yep.
get that guy down, and then
I
I
mean, because
guess
at this level, you can't
yeah,
shy away from these dudes. Like this,
yeah,
literally, I agree with you. I mean, like this is, you know, we talked about it, you know, going into it. This is a contender. This is a number one contender fight. You know, like
yeah,
if you can't beat the number one contender, you have no business fighting the champ. You know, so like you
100%.
got to take all the stuff because these are the guys
Yeah.
you're going to fight eventually when you get it. So if you
Period.
take him out of the pool now, he's going to go down. He has to work his way back up, you know. So take him out now, get the thing, and then maybe work through some of the other guys. So should be very, very interesting.
Yep.
And not to put you guys on the spot because I didn't tell you to pull up the fight card or anything. But are there any other fights on this card
I
that you
have
guys
it.
are leaning towards, or any other ones that you're kind of interested in? I can give you some
After
names.
today,
There's the
just
Cutelaba
Oliveira
versus
and
Sterling, Christian
yeah,
Rodriguez versus
I
Haider Emil, Melsik Bagdasarian against Murtazali Magomedov, Vinicius Oliveira versus Philly. Bro, did you see
I'm excited for
Did you see the
that.
face-offs today? Did you happen to catch
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Bro, they were head to head. Like I
yeah.
thought it was about to pop up, but they were just
Hmm.
both really
I think it's gonna
into
be a
it.
banger.
So that's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
You know, Borjas
I'm really excited
struggled
for that
today.
one.
Borjas
That's what
struggled.
you
He
said.
was 3 pounds over the limit. He was at, you know, he was what, 129?
29,
You
yeah.
know, so he was way over there, you know, and so he got fined 20%. A lot of people thought that was kind of easy on him, like you easily, I think, and I'm not opposed to the fact that probably should have been 30%, but I think Lima was just like, whatever, you know, I want this fight to happen, whatever it
Yeah,
needs to
three
do to make this happen.
pounds.
That's huge, because that when you're
Technically
getting around
four.
when you're getting around 5 pounds, that's at the point where if there's like a 5 pound difference or a little bit more, that's at the point where the commission's like, maybe this fight isn't even going to happen, and you're right there at the doorstep. So I think 30% would have
And
been,
you're fighting a way larger fighter at
yeah,
that point,
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So it'll be interesting to
you
see
know?
how he recovers from that because he looked rough
Hmm.
when he was walking up there. He was slow. He was lethargic. He got off the scale. You know, they get back up there, and then they ask him to come back up on and pose, and then you felt like he was like, "Oh shit, I got to step back up on this thing. I might fall off." And I was
Yeah.
just like,
He was
it was hard, you know. But that's the kind of shit that you really watch to see how somebody's gonna look when they got it. When he got on, back on the scale, I was like, "Oh shit, don't fall, or that fight's definitely not gonna happen." So that one should be interesting. And then, you know, Shabazian's brothers making his debut against a tough Lee Voncho Kelly, Gaston Bolanos,
Cool
and
to
Michael
see him
Aswell
making his
Jr.
debut.
What's that?
Cool to see Leon making his debut.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm excited for Gaston as well. I like him. Beautiful
yeah,
kickboxing.
Gaston and Gaston should be a fun fight. He's
Hmm.
a tough, and Michael Aswell showed a really good performance out in England against
Yep.
Luke Riley. Very, very durable.
Hmm.
That could have the
He's very
makings of
complete.
yeah, that could have the makings of a fun one. And I had Borjas and Lima before, what happened this morning. I had that as one sort of, and it could still be,
Yeah.
a fight of the night
Still,
contender. Just
yeah. I mean, it's still the
Yeah.
same dudes. Just
it
one
just depends on
maybe
how
is
I
gonna
think
have a not the best night before a fight. Like,
yeah,
hopefully
but
his
Right.
hydration process is going good
yeah,
right now. Because yeah, he was rough, dude. He was really,
I'm
really
excited
rough.
about it and also another one, maybe C-Rod, Haider Emil. Haider Emil turns. I mean,
Yes.
C-Rod said it too. Haider tends to be in these kind of
That's
tornado
gonna be
type of
exciting.
fights. So we'll see if
Yep.
C-Rod if that turns into that. We'll see how C-Rod approaches that. But for
And
me,
Hyder's
the
healthy.
Vinicius,
You know, suppose he
yeah,
hasn't been healthy for years. In those last couple fights, he was, you know, fighting different things stomach wise and other stuff. So
correct.
yeah, I mean, because he's already a badass fighter, but to think that he wasn't fighting at 100%, I'm really interested to see how he looks. Or was that all just talk? You know, so
Yeah,
I did lean Hyder on my picks for that one. After seeing that, I was like, okay, we'll see,
yeah,
we'll see. So
we'll
yeah,
see.
that should be interesting. But yeah, no, I think it's gonna be a good night of fights. I think we're gonna have a lot of
Absolutely.
fun. We're
Yeah.
gonna be right there next to it, watching. Well, at
Live
least
in
for
the
the most
flesh of
part.
the
With my boys.
Yes.
We're in the back.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll be watching on the TV as we're interviewing folks, but we'll get to see
Yeah.
that first fight. I'll go out there for the first fight
The
and
first
watch
fight.
it. You
Yeah.
know,
First fight
before we start
and
getting to
sometimes
work.
the last.
So, well, I
Yeah.
want to thank you too for hopping on here. I know I told you I was going to keep you an hour, and we just crossed the hour threshold. So I appreciate you guys,
Perfect.
you know, sticking around and helping out and making your introduction to the Roadshow fans, but also making your you're welcome to the MMA space. You guys have been around for a little bit, so maybe this is a little slow to coming, but I'm glad you guys were able to kind of fill in and get a chance to get you intro to the folks here. So I really appreciate you guys hopping on here, and I want to thank all the listeners for listening to this. We'll be back the same time next week. I think we decided that when Morgan does the CFFCs, we're gonna have to record like Tuesdays or Wednesdays, because once he gets down on location, it's getting really hard for him to do anything.
Yeah.
So I think for those weeks, we're just going to have to go early. So we'll be back. I think we're going to be taping on Tuesday next week, because he does have another CFFC next week. So next week's episode will come later, or
Cool.
I'm sorry, come earlier in the week, but I'm glad that we were able to get this together, and I'll put it all together. In fact, if people, by the time you hear this, the CFFC fights are probably done, but I'm going to go ahead and take this into the living room and turn the CFFC fights on and watch those, and just want to say to everybody listening, thanks for listening.